Today for breakfast, I had an orange and some raspberries.
It's just Jed was messing with it yesterday, but that's fine.
He did. He recreated me on the AI voice.
It's scary, isn't it?
Yeah.
You did it for me.
Very scary.
Yeah, it's not
So
nice.
Jed's going to start his own Finaways division, just pretending to be me, I think. So that's quite concerning.
Jed's going to take over the world, so I don't know what you guys are on about.
We might as well accept it now. It's an inevitability, and we should all start praising him. I'm getting in early.
Yeah, you're getting into his good books now.
Yeah. I'm going to be early through the door with Jed.
Hi guys, welcome back to the Vanaways Podcast. Today we have some really exciting guests on today. I don't know if you want to introduce yourselves, or would you like me to say who you are?
We can introduce ourselves, yeah,
Love
absolutely.
that. Who have we got today?
James Wood from Finaways.
And Justin Dingley from Finaways.
Do you want to give us a little bit of a brief intro on what Finaways are, what you guys do? Just
Absolutely.
give us a brief overview of it.
So Finaways is part of the Vanaways group. Mm-hmm. So we're an in-house commercial finance brokerage built to fund businesses' asset purchases and any loan requirements that they have. And we're mainly here for Vanaways to help increase finance penetration within their business.
So when people are buying their vans from Vanaways, you are the ones who are helping with that financing of the van.
Yeah, to be part of the process. Mm-hmm. So Vanaways themselves are FCA regulated as a credit broker. And what we're doing is we're adding more strings to the Vanaways bow by coming in as an in-house commercial finance brokerage. So we offer more products, more nuances on the product structure, and we'll assist in getting them more vans over the line by being creative with the finance products that we offer.
Okay, so making it a smoother process rather than other people who might kind of just
absolutely.
make it a bit of a longer process and harder to do.
It's like anything. If you have an in-house division, the communication's clearer. You know, there's more emails and calls in-house about where we are in the process. We can talk to the sales team and the admin team about where we are with the bank, where we are with the application. Mm-hmm. And for the customer, there's a lot more transparency. Mm-hmm. So they get a lot more comfort with that.
And I think that's important, especially for you guys to kind of have face to what you're doing so people trust you more. That's what I try and do when I'm kind of around, like when you've just got a phone call, you don't know who's on the other side of the phone. You want a little bit of trust of who you're speaking to kind of and who's the one kind of sorting it all out, really.
Absolutely. And I think people like that ease.
Mm-hmm.
So you have that one-stop shop for everything you need, rather than going, right, well, here's my supplier for these goods and here's my finance broker for these goods. Sometimes that's just like you're talking to two different divisions. Mm-hmm. If you keep it all in-house, there's a lot more trust there. Mm-hmm. So that's our intention. And Vanaways do a lot of vans, but Finaways is here to also help fund vans, but to fund more assets beyond that. Because every business that you work with, they're funding a van, but they're also buying other equipment. Mm-hmm. So that's our objective, to come in and go, right, we're going to assist with the van, but also help your business grow further by funding other requirements in your business.
And are you also in the process of trying to work with other businesses at the moment as well as Vanaways, or are you sticking with just kind of doing it with Vanaways right now?
It's we want to make sure that our core relationship is with Vanaways because we're part of the group.
Yeah.
100%. But I want businesses to understand, what I want businesses to understand is that we don't just fund vans, but we help them with all other aspects of commercial funding.
Okay.
So when we are talking to businesses, we're talking to Vanaways introduced businesses, we're primarily talking to them about their van purchase. Mm-hmm. But in the back of our mind, Justin and I have always got considerations into looking at what other debt they use in their business in order to grow their business. Mm-hmm. So you can go on Companies House and see what kind of debt levels they've got in their business. And you can go, well, if you've only got 5 vans and you've got £1 million worth of debt in there, then me and Justin will be able to facilitate further assistance by helping them broker credit for debt products.
Right, okay. And I'm really curious, how did you guys get into doing this? Like, what kind of started this?
Well, I got into it. James and I have known each other since I was about 4 years old.
Oh, no way.
And then, and then I was at the pub one day and he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, not a lot at the moment. And joined our previous company and then, now we're here.
Did you both kind of do this at like uni? Did you kind of just go straight into it? Like how did you get into asset funding?
Both of us were so far removed from anything to do with asset finance world,
right?
And the finance world in its entirety, actually.
Yeah.
We both liked the fact that you can be entrepreneurial in this finance game. You can be, which is quite fun. But our jobs and where we came from were so completely different prior to that.
What did you do before this then?
So I'll start. So I was in sales. I've always been in sales.
Okay.
I've done a lot of different sales roles. I've sold frozen fish in packets, door to door.
No.
Cold selling, yeah.
I'd have slammed the door on you if I saw
Well,
fish
you haven't
in a
heard the
packet.
pitch yet, have you? So, I literally it'd be about 10 pieces of salmon and it'd be like 45 quid. And this was like over 10 years ago. So it was premium prices. And I'm literally going door to door in a van full of frozen fish in the back, selling fish. So that was one of my sales jobs. I've also done telesales on the phone, so working from home on a headset. I've also worked for like a company which is like the second largest market research company in the world.
Oh wow.
Again, that was door to door.
Okay.
Then I went into bread sales. So I worked for a bakery. It was a friend of mine, and he said, "Look, Woody, I know you like to be entrepreneurial. I've got a challenge and a mission. I want to try and get sort of completed with the business. I want to grow." So I set that up, and it was door-to-door sales, trying to replicate the milk rounds, but with bread. So like bakery products and like chocolate cakes and other sort of like tasty things.
Yeah.
So it was an easy sell because people love to buy treats.
Yeah, I get that.
Problem was, I'm a celiac, so I'm actually allergic to everything.
So you're having to convince people how to love it when you can't even have it yourself.
This tastes really good.
Yeah,
couldn't
I've
eat
had
at
it
all.
loads.
Yeah, I had it loads. This is the best product line so far. So I sold bread door to door, and then actually from that I went on to the market stalls.
Okay.
And that's where I learnt my sales repertoire. Being on the market stalls, selling like to people at a market, getting up at 4 a.m. to set up by 5 a.m. and then working through the hot of the summer and then the cold of the winter.
Really having to work for it.
100%. So I did that, but then I also did a bit of fruit and veg market stall selling as well.
Okay.
And then a little bit in between, I worked out in Dubai.
They were always very charismatic people, I always found. That like people who went to the fruit and veg stalls, you wanted to buy the fruit.
Yeah, because they're just so shouty.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it was very complicated because you like people work in kilos and then like pounds as well. So then you're like, oh, can I have 2 pounds of that? Then the next person will be like, can I have 2 kilos of that? Then you have to work the maths on each.
Yeah.
And it was hard work, like mathematically. So that helped me sort of my quick math now, mental arithmetic is a lot better.
Oh, God, no, mine's not.
But it's good because I'm in the finance game, so you kind of have to be. So, and then I worked out in Dubai for a year.
Nice.
So in another life, I worked in the defense industry. So I did that for a year as well. And
you moved back?
I moved back, yeah. Dubai
Bizarre.
isn't exactly what everyone thinks it to be.
I know, it's a holiday destination, maybe not the work destination.
Yeah.
I get that.
I think if you're holiday there, it's really, really nice.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, it's a beautiful, beautiful place, but you put a 25-year-old young male there working 6 days a week, it's very challenging to actually enjoy your downtime.
Agreed.
For me, friends, family, enjoying
Important.
yourself, they're really, really important. I was very far away from all of that. It's a great lifestyle for some people, but not for me.
No, and I get that.
I like the green of Blighty. So, it's a lot of desert out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
God, yeah.
A lot of desert. So after that, I on my bread round, actually, I was knocking on the door of somebody who works for a previous employer where I used to work.
Okay.
And he basically said, what on earth are you doing this for? You're coming with me to get an interview.
Oh, I love that.
48 hours later, I had the job offer from my previous employee, and that's when I entered the world of finance.
It is probably the strangest thing how things work like that, where if you didn't knock on that door, you probably wouldn't be sat here talking to me that day.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I always find things like that like goosebumpy. Like I find it mad, but luckily you are here, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, very luckily here, having this podcast. So no, we're happy to be here. So thanks for that. But that's my backstory of how I got into finance.
Justin, what about you?
Totally different. I didn't have that many jobs prior to. I did biomedical science at uni.
Wow.
And then finished that, and then went back home and worked for the auction house that I'd always done work for, and then skilled up in that and was managing an auction house. And then I wanted something different. I had a daughter. I wanted something different, and I was doing my diploma in financial advice.
Oh, wow, okay.
And then that's when I bumped into Woody at the pub, and he was like, what are you doing? And I was like, I'm just doing a bit of time off to do this diploma. And then next thing you know, I'm at that previous employer as well, doing a bit of temp work, and loved it so much, then carried on. And then now I'm here. So a little bit shorter than Woody's.
But where was the final straw of going biomed was just not you?
I think when you're pipetting stuff into
gets a bit repetitive.
it's a bit repetitive, and it's very, very interesting. You kind of when I think when you're young, you go, I like this.
Yeah.
And
uni ruins it for you.
Yeah. And, well, no. And yeah, I suppose, and it was just not for me. And yeah, but life changes and then now you're here, like you say.
I love that. Very different, but you're still kind of besties.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was a question I was going to ask, but it kind of flows into it. Working together, how do you kind of keep such a successful kind of pairing? Like, how do you guys work well? How do you delegate? What makes Finaways work with you both well?
I think we we blend together very well.
Are you almost two different people that kind of work well together?
Yeah, I think so. Woody's definitely the louder voice, but it works well because one, we listen to each other, and then it just it just always has worked. Even so, prior to this, I was working under Woody, and then there's strains of that if you've been friends for 25 years, and then but that never was a challenge. And then
it's really easy to work together when you're good people.
Yeah.
Like everyone,
when you got good intentions and there's no kind of trying to cross each other.
Well, there's a common goal, and if you're both going towards that, then
life's
then it
easy.
works. Yeah.
I think it's prevalent in any office. Like you'll get along with people better who align more to your goals and who you are as a person. And if you've both got the end goal there in sight, then it's very easy to be cohesive.
Yeah.
And look, you can park the business sort of hat and go off and enjoy ourselves at a sporting event, or we go down for a meal, or go to the pub or whatever, and you can park it. But in business as well, I think you can take some of your personality traits into business from your outside social world, and it still work. And we do work very well together. And I think it's a bit yin and yang.
Yeah.
But you're almost like work-life balance. You've almost kind of been able to remove yourself, and if you do go out to watch something or you go to the pub, you're able to go, we're not going to talk about work here.
But there's a bit of work chat still. But it still works, and at the end of the day you spend more time at work than you do at home. And if you can spend that time with a mate, then happy days. Yeah,
I want to strangle my workmate every day sitting next to him for 8 hours, but we won't talk about that one.
You don't have to mention names.
Oh, we know, Lewis Wheatcroft. So talk me through kind of how you guys are different, like within the industry of kind of compared to others. Like what makes Finaways kind of the best?
Absolutely. I think that your personality trait as a salesperson, because technically we are sales, but being a broker is a sales role if it's going to fit into anywhere. I think that passion about business,
agreed,
understanding that business is exciting.
Yeah,
for us it is, and as business owners now, we understand the frustrations and toils and tribulations that business owners face when they come to talk to us. And we see it from a different perspective now, even more so than we did when we were just brokers.
Yeah,
and I want to help that business grow.
Like actually, personally, you want to help as well, not that you're just kind of trying to get another deal done kind of thing. You actually have something behind it.
Double-sided sword. Like we grow off businesses' growth. So if we can help a business grow and put them into the right finance product that helps their business and allows them to grow into a bigger company, then we kind of grow off their success as well. And it's nice to be part of the journey. Yeah. And being a broker, actually, there's like a circular life element to it. Like we'll help you when you start up. Yeah. And then we'll get you to a certain stage. And then naturally, the high street banks will come in and assist with that business when they get big enough. And that's the kind of like the full circle of a broker. You kind of want to get them to that point where ultimately they might be able to just buy it cash rather than use their debt.
Okay,
that's
the ultimate goal, would you almost say, to get it to that point?
I think so, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I mean, you can't be working with a business broking. We can access some of the cheapest funds in the marketplace and compete with high street banks. But that's where you want them to be, starting them off on the journey and help them grow and see them grow and almost be friends of them. Yeah,
you're like a caring mum living vicariously through them.
You're 100% care.
Caring mum, maybe not.
Yeah. You do care. And in the end, if you're working with someone for so long and you see their trajectory and what they want to grow a business to, and then if you can help them on that journey, then that's exciting. That's what you get up for in the morning. And and then, like you say, they become friends or good acquaintances.
Anything. Good acquaintances.
And then. And it's not like a 9 to 5. No. So if you need something at 9 o'clock and you text me, most likely we'll get back to you. It's,
and they always say kind of if you wake up in the morning kind of excited for work, it's almost like if you love your job, you never work a day in your life kind of thing. And it feels like for you guys, that seems like you're kind of doing that at the moment. You're kind of 100%. Finally there of what you want to do, and you're
still enjoyed it. When we were brokers, employed in another banding, still enjoyed that. But I think now what we've got is the ability to grow under Vanaways vision as well. So the Vanaways success going from where Chris and Adam started off to 10 years time, employing the amount of people they do and being the size of company that they are, what we've seen, we've been inspired by what they offered and gone, well, actually, we know how to broke and understand the credit broking market. Why can't we leverage Vanaways' skill set and create something ourselves under our own vision? Reliance, I think, utilising technology in the right way, making sure that we walk hand in hand with technology to be a forward-thinking company. Yeah,
not fearful of it.
Yeah, broking's an antiquated industry with people still using Excels for databases and...
Ross.
So I think, standing on the shoulders of giants with Vanaways and being able to utilise their vision and how they use technology to their advantage is what we want to be involved with.
Oh yeah, try telling Chris to download TikTok and get him to understand that. That's technology as well that he doesn't understand. No, but I get that, and that's a nice way of kind of coming into a company and kind of giving that across to them. They're obviously going to be more inclined to work with you if you're giving more than just kind of the business side of that as well.
Buying a van has never been easier. Award-winning 5-star service, free delivery and no hassle. So why wait? For vans without the drama, call us today on 0117 428 7721 or visit vanaways.co.uk. Your perfect van is just a few clicks away.
Obviously, coming into Vanaways, my lack of sales knowledge and vans and things like this in kind of finance was so limited. Like, I came from being a teacher. It's new things to me. How does it differ to just regular finance, what you guys do?
So finance is such a broad term.
Yeah.
So predominantly we do asset finance. So the finance is secured on the asset that they're buying.
So could you give me some examples of what types of things that people might buy?
So that's a van. So from Vanaways, van. Then you've got anything from tractors, lorries, portaloos. There's anything that's got a serial number on it.
Anything that a business needs.
Business needs, we can pretty much find funding for it.
There's a lender that we work with who's got a really good saying. Like his lender says, we'll fund anything you can take your kids to school in. So anything with wheels on or tracks on, they're like, yeah, we can fund that.
Right.
And that's a nice way to say it. And then, because lenders have different appetites, some will fund where we are now, this podcast studio. Some lenders will fund that. So
all the equipment in the room, things like that. Okay.
Yeah, so it could be you could be a Subway franchise or a McDonald's franchise, and you could fund that as well. So it really the appetite for lending is so broad. But where we specialise in is probably what you call like more conventional hard asset finance.
Okay.
Like I just mentioned, the diggers, dumpers, lorries, etc.
Yeah. And so for me, like I've kind of mentioned to you guys before, one thing that I was always kind of told was, don't do finance, things like that. It can affect your mortgage. I understand from a business perspective, it's slightly differently, but are there things that kind of people still think are kind of issues with finance that you would almost kind of say, that's not the case, finance is actually still quite a good option?
I think it depends on everyone's circumstance, of course. I think you have to be you have to take that case by case approach. The antiquated saying of, don't use debt because it's not good. You should buy things outright. I think that because you were buying a £2,000 car in 1975, you probably didn't need debt.
No.
But you look at the cost of stuff now, it's an option to use to allow you to function in normal society. And it differs from businesses to personal finance. So I think your question revolved around, if you're getting stuff in your personal name, don't highly gear yourself up, of course. You want to make sure that everything is affordable. But the difference between personal and business finance is quite substantial.
Okay. And are they any myth? I don't know if myths are the right word, but anything within kind of business finance that you would kind of say people come to you a lot and say, and you're like, that's just not true?
I think that people don't realise that they can get debt or buy assets using asset finance when they're a startup. So people think it's really difficult to obtain funding when you're a startup.
Right.
So if you've got a good business plan and you can evidence that you're going to be able to make X money per month and your van's going to cost Y, and we can clearly evidence to the bank you can service that debt, people don't think you can go and obtain that.
Right.
And people's growth plans are sometimes sort of like hindered by thinking they can't access it.
Because they think they've got to have all the money outright and kind of go straight in with all of that, and then they kind of almost cancel their plans based on the fact that they don't have that.
There's a £22 billion shortfall in funding per year.
What does shortfall mean, sorry?
So I think the shortfall is in terms of what we're not providing to businesses and SMEs in the UK.
Right.
There's a £22 billion shortfall for SME funding in the UK. So we should be lending out as a nation in the finance sector £22 billion more to help the ambitions of SMEs.
Wow, okay. Yeah. And that's just kind of just left for people just unaware of that they're not.
And it's because people don't know they can access a broker who can go to the whole marketplace. They might be accessing a broker who's very busy and might not be able to service them to their needs. But quite a lot of people go to their high street bank, and the amount of rejections that the high street bank give out to businesses who are trying to obtain finance is staggering. Why
are they kind of stopping people more? Like, why are the banks saying no more than you would, let's say?
It's about risk. So the bank borrow money at a very cheap rate and they have to lend it out. They might even use people's retained savings. So the high street bank's risk parameters are far greater than somebody who would be lending to a brand new startup, a lender we might have on our panel.
Got you.
So the criteria for applications there is going to be a lot greater than it is if you're going to go to a different provider. And that's what a credit broker is able to access. Rather than a business owner go to 20 different lenders, we can go, right, well, you don't need to go to that first half because they need 2 years of trading history and you need a business plan, et cetera, et cetera. You need to access this part of the marketplace, to start your business off.
It's interesting to me because this is all new things that even, like you're saying, there's people who don't know. I wouldn't have even known about that kind of thing. So it's quite a nice thing to kind of understand. But I think as well for me, the question of like your process from start to finish, obviously maybe in short form because we could be here for a while.
Sure.
But like how long does it take and what's your kind of start to finish?
So it can vary. It can vary from time length, but from start to finish, you're pretty much client comes to you, they're wanting to buy X asset. We then need to have a conversation why you're buying the asset, what you're looking to put down as a deposit, term length, all of these kind of things, and a little bit more about their business, how the asset's going to help them. And then we ask for a bit more information, maybe some bank statements and accounts, and then we'll do a proposal. Depends on the lender. It could be a portal-based kind of input some data and then we'll get quite a quick decision, or it could be a more structured kind of finance and we'll be writing out a proposal and that could take an hour, 2 hours to write the proposal out. And then that will go to the lender. We also, when we're having that conversation with them, and then once we've seen the financials of the business, we'll be deciding which lender it will go to, because obviously you have your new starts, but you've also got your really established businesses. So it is all rate to risk. So different lenders have different appetites. So then, and then we'll be putting you into the place where you fit into that marketplace, and then to get the best rate possible for you, and also the best structure for you, because there's different companies need different things on the structure of the finance. And then that'll go into an underwrite, and that can take anything from a couple of hours to a week, depending on how big that kind of transaction could be. And then once that's hopefully been accepted, we'll then present the figures to the client. If they're happy with that, then it goes to the payout stage. So it'll be all documentation, pay the deposit, and hopefully it all gets paid out and they're in the new asset. So
quite quick.
It can be really quick. It can be really quick.
And can I ask, is this all? None of this ever needs to really be face to face. A lot of it for people if they are struggling or they're kind of far away. Is it all over like Zoom online that you kind of communicate with them, or are you meeting up with clients a lot?
It depends on the client's request and how busy they are. So we're more than happy to go out and see the customer. In fact, we get so much value from doing that.
Yeah.
And actually, it's a really good practice because we can put that into our proposal, right? We've gone to see the customer at their yard. We've talked to them face to face. We've seen their business unit. Yeah. And that really helps. But quite a lot of our
with the trust of like actually getting the loan for them. being able to see who they are. Is that kind of what you're saying?
I think the banks really like the fact that the broker's gone out to visit. There's a lot more comfort if an underwriter knows that a broker's gone out to the site, has seen the whites of the eyes of the business owner, and has seen the operation, can even put a few photos onto their proposal. That offers them a lot of comfort because
that might get it. The ball rolling quicker if you're doing things like that.
Absolutely. And it's not necessary on every single transaction. No. So quite a lot of our time, it'll be phone calls, where that's a lot of our business is done over the phone. So we spend a lot of our day on the phone. It's really, really important to make sure we can communicate quickly. You get more done than you do over email. Yeah. But we do a lot of emailing and also text messaging, WhatsApp.
So you've got all the options, really.
At the end of the day, business owners are busy. So, if we can make it as easy as possible for them, as light touch for them, then great. And hopefully you just get the right result for them first time and they're happy. Everyone's happy.
Perfect.
Yeah, it can range from like 24 hours. Yeah. It's probably the quickest time you can get a deal paid out.
Okay.
And that's that's
for smaller assets, I'm guessing.
Yeah, absolutely right. And then, but it can go on to a couple of weeks depending if you're doing a big refinance for 10 lorries. So it varies on what you're doing. But I think 24 hours to 72 is probably where you're looking at for an average transaction.
Oh, wow. Okay. Yeah. Really quick turnover then. What's the most overlooked factor when securing funding on a new asset? What would you say?
I think serviceability.
Yeah. What?
So this is on my first day of the job, serviceability was the word that I was told about. This is the most key important factor. It's a bit of a buzzword in the industry. So serviceability of the debt. So making sure that a business can afford to make the debt payments. So either they can evidence that they can afford to pay for the debt on a monthly payment already from their bank statements. So there's an increasing end of balance at each month, showing they can afford to pay for it already. Or equally, if they're going to have a contract from this new asset coming on board. So for example, it might be a new van going on the new delivery route and it's going to earn them X amount per month. And then that evidences serviceability of the debt. So the bank have to make sure that they're comfortable that the customer can pay for the debt. Otherwise,
a lot of customers come to you and kind of say, "Oh yeah, we'll do this," and they can't.
Yeah, absolutely. Sometimes it can be. Sometimes it all depends on the customer.
Right.
Absolutely. And sometimes you have to go right. Well, to make it affordable, we're going to have to put a larger deposit in, or put it over a longer period of time, so the monthly payments are shorter. So there's a lot of variation in that answer.
Okay, interesting. I was gonna kind of end the podcast on some more light-hearted stuff and ask you guys, what's the strangest thing you've ever funded, if you can think back?
Yeah, well, I kind of alluded to it already. I did do 100 Portaloos for a customer.
Yeah, that's mad.
So yeah, that was a bit of a strange one.
Was this like a festival, or was this just my home?
They hired them out, so yeah, they did Portaloo hire. So yeah, 100 Portaloos.
That's so strange.
Yeah, and £900 a pop. So it was a
little bit different from vans.
A little bit different from vans.
Yeah. Probably the strangest one is potato boxes. It was for a farm. They were doing a refinance to raise some cash. So
don't worry about the potatoes, just the box.
Just the boxes, yeah. It was for a farmer.
Yeah.
And he needed to raise some cash for a big project of his. So we went round to him, to his yard, to his farm, and walked around, and we're like, okay, well, we could fund that trailer, we can fund that tractor, we can fund that JCB. Also, there's some farm equipment we could do. And he goes, oh, those potato boxes, I bought them for however much they were, and there's about 100 of them. Do you think you could do anything? I initially thought, no chance.
Yeah,
they're boxes.
Laughed in his face.
Yeah. But they had a serial number on, and then I put it to the bank, and they said yes. So it was part of a greater refinance. They had some actual hard metal in there, so it wasn't completely just funding potato boxes.
Did he give you any free potatoes for it?
Didn't get any free potatoes. No, I haven't got any free produce from him.
Oh my goodness!
I'm
right, that's outrage. Yeah, outrage. So the final question I wanted to ask you is, why should people approach Finaways if they are wanting to come to a broker, don't know how to word it, finance anything? Why should they come to Finaways?
Absolutely. So I think it's really important to approach a broker. Finaways would be great, of course, because we've got access to the whole marketplace. Okay. So what we can do for the customer is get them the right product, the right structure, and the best rate of finance for their business. And like we said earlier, we want to grow with their business. We're here to offer them the best product so that we can work with them going forward. And that's why approaching someone like Finaways, who care about the clients, will speak to you outside the 9 to 5 hours, is the right choice to make.
I love that answer. I really appreciate you both being on. Thank you.
Thank you.
And yeah, well, thank you for coming to the Vanaways podcast. We'll see you on the next episode.